Alright, welcome everybody back here on this channel. Today we are starting obviously in the VAB, and we are discussing how to build a rocket. Now obviously you need a capsule first, of course, and then a parachute because we want our Kerbals to survive. Well, at least some of us do. Next obviously you need a heat shield to protect yourself from re-entry. Now obviously, you know, that's pretty basic stuff, but this is for brand new Kerbonauts. Alright, so now, and we need a heat shield to protect ourselves from the heat of re-entry. So let me just, why am I putting, okay, real quick. There we go, aha. And then a decoupler to separate it from the rest of everything. Now this is obviously pretty basic stuff. This is just the crew part of the rocket, the payload of the rocket. If you actually want to bring another payload with you and return back, you can. This, however, is obviously heavier, so you'll be going faster during re-entry, and it'll be harder to slow down, so those need drogues if you're carrying a heavier payload. But we're not doing that today. So, you know, a couple tools, symmetry. If you click X, that changes the symmetry, and C toggle snap. Alt click is copy, so that's a pretty neat feature, and that is kind of the basics of rocket building now, of rocket building in Kerbal Space Program. So now we are going to build the top stage. Now this doesn't need a ton of fuel because usually the top stage is in space, so there's no gravity or wind or air, and usually you use a very fuel efficient engine. So I am going to show you three semi-fuel efficient engines for space travel, and this is all low tier. At least this first rocket is low tier for my brand new people starting out in career or science, and we will do another higher tier for those people who just can't build big rockets, or those people that are playing sandbox. Now we got the swivel, we got the spark, and we got the terrier. Now the Spark is a great engine, however it's just so darn small and not powerful that it becomes almost useless if it's not for a probe or something. So generally, you know, don't use it for manned spacecraft, but that was just an example of fuel efficient engines, and as well as the swivel can be used. Don't recommend though. So if you can see, you can switch it to vacuum in the delta V tracker to see how much actual delta V you'll have if this was in space. So the Terrier is a great fuel efficient engine for the top stage in space, and it's very good at maintaining fuel and getting you to where you need to go. Now the bottom stage usually fans out to be bigger to hold way more fuel, because this bottom stage is going to punch you through the atmosphere and escape gravity, Kerbin's gravity. So this needs more fuel than obviously the top stage. I know you've probably seen tons of rockets in history, and they all kind of have the similar shape: giant bottom stage and then smaller top stage. Now for the bottom stage you need a semi-fuel efficient, but more you need a powerful engine to get you up there. So a couple of examples would be the Vector engine, the Reliant engine, or the Bobcat engine. Now all these engines can be used if you want to, however there are certain pros and cons to each of them. The Vector is a fuel consuming, however very powerful engine, although I wouldn't recommend using it that often. The Swivel or Reliant is also pretty good for low tier, however the Reliant has no swivel, and swivel isn't as powerful. So if you see here, you can check the delta V and the thrust to weight ratio. You want a thrust to weight ratio of 1.05 or higher, otherwise your rocket's not going anywhere. Really, I recommend 1.2 or higher, because then your rocket will actually go places. Now if you check the bottom right with that orange thing, the delta V, you could see that the Bobcat is the most fuel efficient choice while still maintaining the delta V. So this all in all has probably enough delta V to do a month flyby. If not, then obviously it can get into orbit. So this is a low tier orbital rocket, and you kind of base your stages on that. The lower you go, the bigger and heavier it needs to be. So if I was to add a bottom stage to that, it would fan out also to the second size. Now here is a more higher tier rocket, and this one is going to obviously need bigger stuff. So we'll add a bigger parachute, bigger heat shield, bigger decoupler, everything's sized up. Now it's basically the same as building the low tier one. The top stage needs to be light so it can actually get so the bottom stage can actually push it up, but it needs to be very fuel efficient because obviously we can't pack as much fuel. Now there are two main fuel efficient engines in this game for this size. That's the skipper and the skiff. Those are the ones I like to use. There is mainsail and mastodon and rhino, but the skipper and the skiff give you way more delta V than any of those. So the mainsail is actually more of a first stage engine. So if you can see, skipper gives me not as much delta V as the skiff, and we don't need to worry about the thrust to weight ratio in space because in space there's nothing there. However, you might want to have a higher one slightly, just because you don't want to wait forever to burn or wait forever on the burns. So now we're going on to the second larger stage, or sorry, the first larger stage. Is kind of weird because we build backwards, but that's because we need a parent. But anyways, so this one obviously needs to be launched bigger, but then I remembered, yes, we need electricity. Lots of things, lots of people forget electricity on their spacecraft and run out of electric charge and cannot control their spacecraft anymore. So I just added some batteries and monopropellant and RCS, because also I like to control my spacecraft very quickly. That helps. And also you can see I added solar panels. I don't know why I added 3. I was trying to add 4, but I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. Electricity, you can just use this flat panels too, that works too. And I was getting confused. I don't know why I chose that small, but bigger one. Now the bottom stage, obviously like we did before, needs to be heavy, powerful. And engine plate. Now engine plates are really great for several reasons. Number one, they can detach things inside them. It's like you know the Apollo mission, how there was the LEM inside the fairing. Like that's basically what engine plates do. And also they add multiple attachment points to the spacecraft, which is really helpful, as you can see here. So there are multiple engines that we can choose from. That's the Mammoth engine, but right next to it is the Vector and the Reliant. Now as you can see here, 5 vectors, while very powerful, they just don't have the thrust to weight ratio and fuel consumption that I want. So yeah, we can't have those. So Mammoth engine it is, and the Mammoth engine was designed for this size, so it fits perfectly, and it is a very fuel efficient and powerful engine for the first stage. Now obviously you want to add fins to your rocket so it doesn't spiral out of control, like a lot of rockets I've seen on Reddit do. So you're going to add some fins just for stability. It also makes it look really cool. And there it is. Here's the launch of this great rocket, the K3. Now, as this time lapse goes on, that's some IVA mods. I will link all the mods I have in the description below, mainly beautification mods, but some of you eagle eye viewers might have seen some different parts, and I'll get that in the description below. As you can see, the first stage performed beautifully. It was able to get us into orbit, and the vacuum engine will now get us a larger orbit, go to the moon, whatever. We have plenty of delta V to go to Duna, to go to Eve, and maybe not land on it, but definitely do a flyby. But here I just went into orbit to demonstrate that, and we're coming back down. I hope you enjoyed this little video and learned how to build a good rocket. And there we are, touching down the old cosmonaut way, because we're Kerbals. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Yes, this has been another Kerbonaut video and another Kerbonaut lesson. So if you want more, definitely subscribe. But for now, yeah, that's it. I will recover this vessel and see you all in the next one.